Archangel Michael says, stop. Don't scroll. This message is urgent. Not urgent in fear. Urgent in awareness. Before you move even one step further today, pause. Take one slow breath. Because something unseen has just shifted around you. You may not hear it. You may not see it. But something that once had access to your energy, no longer does. And this moment, right now, is not ordinary. You were meant to hear this. There has been something in your life that felt small, yet heavy. Invisible, yet draining. It did not attack loudly. It whispered. It did not break doors. It slowly entered your thoughts. This is what the message calls the snake. The snake is not a creature. It is a symbol. A symbol of hidden jealousy, manipulation disguised as care, a name that still stings, a memory that refuses to fade, doubt that repeats itself late at night, fear that says, "What if you're not enough?" The snake never shouts. It coils quietly. And for a long time, you carried it without realizing it was there. There was someone, or something, that benefited from your confusion. Someone who felt safer when you questioned yourself. Someone who felt powerful when you doubted your own direction. But something has changed. The grip is weakening. And the reason this message feels intense, is because clarity has entered your life. Clarity always feels uncomfortable at first. Because it exposes what comfort tried to hide. Think about the past few weeks. Have certain conversations felt different? Have certain names felt lighter? Have you noticed yourself reacting less? Have you started feeling strangely calm about something that once disturbed you deeply? That is not coincidence. That is removal. You thought you were being ignored. You were being protected. You thought you were being delayed. You were being redirected. You thought something was slipping away. It was being extracted. The weight you were carrying was never yours. It was attached through emotion. And now it is detaching. Archangel Michael represents courage without chaos. Strength without noise. Protection without panic. This message is not here to scare you. It is here to awaken you. Because when the snake loses access, a doorway opens. And that doorway has been waiting for you for longer than you realize. There is a reason this message feels personal. You have been silently asking questions. Maybe not out loud. But in your heart. Why does this still affect me? Why can't I move on? Why does this name still carry power? Why do I feel blocked? And here is the truth, you were never blocked. You were being prepared. Prepared for a season where, you no longer react emotionally to what once controlled you. You no longer chase clarity from those who refuse to give it. You no longer beg for explanations from silence. You simply move forward. The snake only survived because it occupied your thoughts. Read that again. It survived in your attention. The moment attention shifts, power shifts. And your attention is shifting now. Imagine yourself 3 months from today. You wake up. Your chest feels lighter. You check your phone, and that name no longer triggers anything. You hear about that situation, and you feel neutral. You pass by that memory, and it does not pull you backwards. That future version of you exists. And this moment is the turning point. Not because something dramatic happened, but because you decided, I will not feed fear anymore. There is something else you need to understand. Not every loss is punishment. Some losses are promotions. Some endings are upgrades. Some removals are answers to prayers you forgot you prayed. You once asked, remove what is not meant for me. And when it started happening, you called it pain. But it was alignment. There was a version of you that tolerated confusion. There is a new version of you that demands clarity. There was a version of you that chased answers. There is a new version of you that recognizes silence as an answer. There was a version of you that tried to fix everything. There is a new version of you that lets truth reveal itself. That evolution is happening right now. The urgency at the beginning of this message was not about danger. It was about timing. You were about to carry something into your next chapter. That does not belong there. And this message interrupted that pattern. Because your next chapter requires lightness. Not emotional baggage. Not repeated cycles. Not unresolved attachment. Lightness. There is someone who thought they would always have access to you. Access to your reactions. Access to your emotions. Access to your attention. That access is closing. Not with anger. Not with revenge. But with peace. And peace is more powerful than confrontation. You are entering a season where peace feels normal. Confidence feels stable. Opportunities feel aligned. And clarity feels effortless. But you cannot enter that season while entertaining what drains you. The snake does not leave loudly. It leaves when it is no longer fed. And you are no longer feeding it. You are outgrowing it. Something huge is waiting. But here is the twist, it is not a dramatic event. It is a shift in identity. The biggest transformation is not external. It is internal. You are becoming someone who does not chase what runs. Does not beg for clarity. Does not panic over silence. Does not shrink for comfort. And that identity change unlocks doors automatically. There will soon be moments that confirm this shift. A conversation that feels lighter. An opportunity that appears unexpectedly. A financial improvement. A peaceful decision that once felt impossible. When it happens, remember this moment. Because this is where it began. In awareness. Archangel Michael's message can be summarized in one sentence. Protect your peace as if your future depends on it. Because it does. The future you desire cannot exist in chaos. It cannot grow in confusion. It cannot bloom in fear. It requires clarity. And clarity has arrived. The name that once hurt you is shrinking. The memory that once controlled you is fading. The doubt that once whispered is losing volume. Because your focus has changed. And focus determines direction. Now pause for a moment. Imagine standing at a doorway. Behind you. Confusion. Overthinking. Emotional cycles. Unanswered questions. Ahead of you, calm. Opportunity. Alignment. Confidence. The doorway is open. But it requires one decision: stop looking back. You have spent enough time analyzing. Enough time replaying. Enough time wondering, what if? The next phase of your life does not require analysis. It requires movement. Even if it is slow. Even if it is uncertain. Even if you cannot see the whole path. Move anyway. Because here is something powerful: people who continue walking without full clarity discover opportunities that fearful people never see. And you are one of those people. That is why this message found you. The snake has been removed. Not because you fought harder, but because you grew wiser. And wisdom is stronger than fear. Archangel Michael says, what you thought was loss, was liberation. Stay here. Do not rush past this moment. Because something subtle, yet irreversible, has already begun. There was a time when your energy felt scattered. Part of you was in the present. Part of you was in the past. Part of you was replaying conversations that ended long ago. Part of you was imagining scenarios that never even happened. That fragmentation was not weakness. It was attachment. And attachment can feel like loyalty, even when it is slowly draining you. The symbolic snake did not enter your life randomly. It came disguised. Disguised as love. Disguised as opportunity. Disguised as connection. Disguised as, maybe this time it will be different. But truth has a way of surfacing. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But steadily. And truth has been rising inside you for weeks. Have you noticed something? You are not reacting the way you used to. You are observing more. Speaking less. Detaching quietly. Analyzing less emotionally. That is growth. That is power returning. That is spiritual maturity. There was once a version of you that needed validation. That version is fading. There was once a version of you that feared being alone. That version is dissolving. There was once a version of you that accepted breadcrumbs. That version no longer exists. And the person who benefited from that old version of you can feel the shift. That is why the energy around you feels different. Because you are no longer accessible in the same way. Michael's presence in this message symbolizes one thing. Protection activated, not from physical harm, but from emotional sabotage. From repeated cycles. From disguised intentions. From false promises. From your own self-doubt. You prayed for clarity. Clarity arrived. But clarity often feels like separation before it feels like peace. Let's speak honestly. There is a name that still carries emotional weight in your heart. When you hear it, something shifts inside you. When you see it, your thoughts accelerate. When you think about it at night, sleep becomes lighter. That name is losing its control. Slowly. Quietly. Power does not disappear in one dramatic moment. It fades when it is no longer fed. And you are no longer feeding it. There was a time when you believed, if I just try harder, if I just explain myself better, if I just wait a little longer, if I just prove my worth, but you are stepping into a realization now, the right things do not require over-explanation. The right people do not require over-proving. The right opportunities do not require self-abandonment. And that understanding is breaking chains you did not even see. Something else is happening behind the scenes. While you were grieving what felt like loss, your standards were rising. While you were questioning yourself, your intuition was strengthening. While you were feeling confused, your discernment was sharpening. The snake loses power in the presence of discernment. And your discernment is stronger than ever. There were red flags you ignored before. Not because you were foolish, but because you were hopeful. Hope is beautiful. But hope without boundaries becomes self-betrayal. You have learned the difference now. That lesson was expensive. But it was necessary. Archangel Michael's deeper message is this: you are not being asked to fight. You are being asked to rise. Fighting keeps you connected to the problem. Rising disconnects you from it entirely. And you are rising. Even if you do not fully see it yet. The energy that once surrounded you like fog is clearing. That fog was created by overthinking. By emotional attachment. By waiting for someone else to change. But clarity does not wait for others. It begins within you. And once it begins, everything else rearranges. There is something powerful about silence. Not the silence of avoidance. But the silence of peace. You are entering that silence. The kind where you no longer feel the need to explain your absence. The kind where you no longer need closure from someone who refuses to grow. The kind where you no longer panic when messages are delayed. That silence is strength. And it is new for you. The reason this message feels intense is because you are standing at a psychological crossroads. One path leads back to familiarity. Back to emotional loops. Back to temporary comfort. The other path leads forward. Toward stability. Toward alignment. Toward opportunities that do not exhaust you. The snake wants familiarity. Your soul wants expansion. And expansion is winning. There is also a financial or career shift connected to this. When emotional energy frees up, mental clarity increases. When mental clarity increases, better decisions follow. You may soon notice a new idea forming, a creative spark returning, motivation rebuilding, a job or business opportunity appearing, a financial door reopening. This is not random. Blocked energy affects every area of life. And energy is unblocking. Someone may attempt to re-enter your life soon. Not dramatically. Subtly. curiously, testing. Because they feel the distance. They feel the shift. They feel the door closing. Michael's warning is gentle but firm: do not confuse familiarity with destiny. Not everything that returns deserves access. There is a reason the urgency was placed at the beginning of this message. You were about to make a decision from old emotions. And this message interrupted that. Because the next chapter of your life requires upgraded thinking. And you are capable of it. Imagine 6 months from now. You are stronger. You are clearer. You are more financially stable. You are emotionally independent. And you barely recognize the person who once tolerated confusion. That version of you is being born right now. Birth is uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. But stagnation is worse. And you have outgrown stagnation. There is something else important. Forgiveness does not mean reconnection. Compassion does not mean access. Understanding does not mean return. You can release someone with love, and still close the door permanently. That is maturity. And you are reaching it. The symbolic snake represented deception. But deception only works when intuition is ignored. You are no longer ignoring your intuition. You feel things instantly now. You sense inconsistencies faster. You recognize energy shifts immediately. That awareness is protection. And protection has been activated around you. Your peace is becoming sacred. Your time is becoming valuable. Your energy is becoming selective. That is why not everyone will have access to you in the future. And that is okay. You are not meant to be available to everyone. You are meant to be aligned. Something huge is waiting. But it requires emotional space. And space has just been created. The removal was necessary. The detachment was necessary. The disappointment was necessary. Because you cannot receive with closed hands. And your hands are finally opening. Archangel Michael's voice grows quieter now. Not because the message is ending. But because the truth has settled. You are protected. You are guided. You are evolving. And the snake, the fear, the attachment, the emotional loop, no longer defines your story. But there is still one more layer. A deeper realization about why this season had to unfold the way it did. And what it is preparing you for next. Archangel Michael says, this was not a breakup. This was a breakthrough. Stay very present right now. Because what you are about to understand will change how you see the last chapter of your life. You thought you were losing something important. In reality, you were losing something that was blocking something greater. There is a difference. And most people never realize it until years later. You are realizing it now. There are connections in life that feel intense but are not meant to last. They come to awaken you. To expose your wounds. To show you where you overgive. To reveal where you accept less. To teach you discernment. And once the lesson is complete, the connection destabilizes. Not because you failed. but because you graduated. You have completed a karmic cycle. That is why everything felt heavy before it ended. Karmic connections feel magnetic, addictive, hard to release. They create emotional highs and deep confusion. But once the lesson is integrated, the emotional grip weakens. And suddenly, you feel something strange, detachment. Not anger. Not hatred. Just clarity. That clarity is freedom. There is something powerful about what just happened in your life. You did not chase. You did not beg. You did not collapse. You felt the pain, but you stayed standing. That changed everything. Because the universe responds differently to someone who stays standing. Michael's message now becomes stronger: you are being repositioned. Not punished. Repositioned. Repositioned for healthier love, aligned friendships, financial expansion, leadership opportunities, greater confidence, emotional independence. You cannot be repositioned while clinging to expired seasons. And your last season has expired. That expiration was necessary. There was someone who underestimated you. Not maliciously always. But they misjudged your value. They thought you would always remain available. They thought you would tolerate confusion indefinitely. They thought your kindness meant weakness. They were wrong. And now they are realizing it. But here is the important part: their realization is no longer your responsibility. The old version of you wanted to be understood. The new version of you understands yourself. That difference changes everything. When you understand yourself, you stop chasing validation. When you stop chasing validation, you become magnetic. When you become magnetic, opportunities move toward you. And this is the season you are entering. You may feel something subtle lately. A quiet confidence building. A calmness during situations that once triggered you. An ability to walk away without dramatic closure. That is evolution. That is spiritual maturity. That is strength without noise. Michael represents warrior energy. But not reckless fighting. Strategic strength. And you are embodying that now. There is also something financial connected to this closure. When emotional cords break, energy returns. When energy returns, focus sharpens. When focus sharpens, money follows clarity. Watch for a new job possibility, a raise or promotion, a business idea gaining traction, a side income expanding, an investment opportunity, unexpected financial assistance, because you are no longer energetically leaking. Leakage has stopped. Stability begins. The snake symbolized more than fear. It symbolized distraction. And distraction is destiny's greatest enemy. You were distracted by, what if they come back? What if I misunderstood? What if I lose them forever? But now your questions are changing. What do I deserve? What do I want? What aligns with my peace? That shift is powerful. That shift opens doors. Here is something few people understand: when you stop chasing someone who undervalues you, you step into alignment with someone who doesn't. The space created by loss becomes the space where destiny enters. But destiny requires availability. You are becoming available. You might notice old memories resurfacing briefly. Not to pull you back, but to show you how far you've come. You may suddenly realize that behavior was not normal. That inconsistency was not love. That silence was an answer. Those realizations are confirmations. Not regrets. Confirmations. Archangel Michael says, you are not meant to repeat that lesson. And you won't. Because now you recognize red flags instantly. You feel energy shifts immediately. You trust your intuition faster. The snake cannot return where awareness lives. There is a breakthrough approaching. But it will not look dramatic. It will look peaceful. And that is how you will know it is real. Peaceful love. Peaceful money. Peaceful growth. Peaceful decisions. Drama is no longer attractive to you. Stability is. That shift alone changes your entire timeline. Someone from your past may attempt re-entry. But their energy will feel different. Less powerful. Less magnetic. Less influential. And that will surprise you. Because you once thought you could never detach. Now you see clearly. And once you see clearly, you cannot unsee. There is also an internal breakthrough happening. You are forgiving yourself. For staying too long. For ignoring signs. For overgiving. For shrinking. Self-forgiveness is the final chain breaking. Without it, you remain tied to shame. With it, you become unstoppable. And you are stepping into that power now. Let's go deeper. Your destiny requires leadership. Not necessarily public leadership. But energetic leadership. You are meant to influence. To inspire. To guide. To uplift. But you cannot guide others while emotionally entangled in chaos. That chaos has been cleared. Now your voice becomes stronger. Your presence becomes grounded. Your decisions become decisive. There was once a fear inside you, what if I end up alone? But now a new understanding is emerging. I would rather be alone than emotionally unsafe. That is maturity. That is growth. That is power. And when someone chooses emotional safety over familiarity, the universe responds quickly. Watch how quickly things begin shifting now. Because delay was never denial. It was preparation. You were being prepared to hold something bigger. And you cannot hold something bigger with hands full of the past. Your hands are empty now. Empty hands receive more. The reason this message feels long is because transformation is layered. First comes awareness. Then detachment. Then grief. Then clarity. Then strength. Then alignment. You are between strength and alignment. That means breakthrough is close. Very close. Archangel Michael's final message in this part: do not look back to see who notices your absence. Look forward to see who deserves your presence. That one decision changes your entire story. And you have already started making it. But there is still one final layer to reveal. The layer about divine timing. About why this happened exactly now. About the door that is about to open unexpectedly.